Hi, welcome to your checkup. We are the patient education podcast, where we bring conversations from the doctor's office to your ears. On this podcast, we try to bring medicine closer to its patients. I'm Ed Dulesky, a family medicine doctor in the Philadelphia area.
And I'm Nicole Rufo. I'm a nurse.
And we are so thankful you were able to join us here again today. So, I guess the Catholics could have come up with something better than unleavened bread for the body of Christ. I get the whole thing. Like, I get why it's all of that, but I was just thinking that you might grab more. A rolling stone doesn't gather a lot of moss. I don't know if that's the thing. I'm trying to say they should have picked the cheese, because since we recorded last, a new pope was picked, and couldn't they have picked a nice manchego or something? Or a Cooper Sharp. Something
Maybe
that's more
we should
alluring.
take it up with Leo. Is that the name he picked?
Yes,
That's the name he
that's the
picked.
name he picked. Yeah. Maybe I'm sending a carrier pigeon to the Vatican.
Maybe we should go.
Maybe we should go to the Vatican and pitch this idea to Pope Leo and see
I feel
what
like
happens.
he'd be down for it. He seems like a cool guy, you know?
Who wouldn't? I mean, it would put more delis in business. It would keep business booming because, like, now we have to go to the deli to get our cheese for Sunday. Right? I mean, I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In other news, we spent the last week at the beach, and we had a phenomenal time. We played one of the most important sports that there is known to man, pickleball.
I didn't know if you were going to say pickleball or golf.
Oh, well, I mean, we'll start with the pickleball.
No, pickleball was so much fun. That was my first time ever playing, and I don't know why I didn't get on this pickleball bandwagon sooner, but I'm happy I'm here now.
Yeah.
I also don't fully know all of the rules, and I don't know that I'll ever put much effort into learning them, because my primary goal and focus, much like golf, is just making contact with the ball.
Yeah, totally.
Which I did a lot of, and I thought I was pretty good. And it's fun enough doing that. We don't need to, keep score.
No.
Figure out when you can and can't be in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think that's that naming on the court really, it's called the kitchen. There's two lines, for those listening, shaking their fists like, I play pickleball all the time. These losers don't know. No, we don't. But I watched a crisp 2-minute YouTube video and learned what I could to direct the group enough. It's fun. I mean, we were up against a crisp wind, Brigantine, clearly the windiest city in America. And that was a tough wind to go up against. One side, you kiss the ball to the other side and it airmails across the court. And the other side, you have to put your entire butt into the hit, and then you barely get it over. You served it like 4 times into the net each time.
I know. I was hitting
like,
it so hard, too.
More gusto, Nick. More. But no, it was a phenomenal time. We have pickleball equipment. We got to look around in our area and see where we can play.
We left the pickleball equipment at the beach house, though.
Yes.
I'll have to go back next weekend and get some, or get it. Oh, wait. We also have to talk about how that troll said that you...
Oh my God. Yeah.
cheated on your wife with me.
Yep.
Like, left your wife for a nurse at work.
Yes.
And we're reading it like, unless you have like a second family that I don't know about.
I don't know. Eddie
Allegedly cheated on his wife with me and left her and his family for me.
And let it be known, this was an internet troll.
Yeah.
That was like, when I was like, promoting the podcast.
Yes. Neither of us has ever been married before.
Right.
We are getting married, and it will be the first time for both of us.
Right. And this guy is like, yeah, you left your family for this nurse that you're doing a podcast with. And I was just like, this. And then he called me out by name. Like,
Yeah.
No one wants to listen to your podcast, Ed.
He's like, you're a cheater, Ed.
What is going on? So I swiftly blocked that guy and the person who laughed after that on our Threads account, which we're very active on if you haven't figured that out. Yeah, that was crazy. I have come across a lot of nice people on Threads and the internet who are like very grateful for what we're doing here. And they're like, wow, this is so great. Haven't seen anything like this before. But then there's just a couple knuckleheads out there like that. That
I know.
it stung a little bit.
It could have been worse though.
It could have been so worse, and I'm not used to it, so I lost like a little tiny bit of sleep
Do
on it.
you feel
that
like
night.
you're on like a Bravo show at the center of a cheating scandal?
No,
Oh.
not one bit
Okay.
at all. No, I don't feel like that at all. We're not speaking this into existence. This is that how that works? I mean, like, so we're gonna dazzle our way into our newest TV show we're watching, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
So good.
And this woman on there has a thing where on Sunday she facilitates a chat like called Confessional Sunday or whatever.
Yeah,
And
Sinner Sunday.
Sinner Sunday. I mean, if you haven't looked up this show, you got it because it's like for the culture piece, it's so interesting. But people are putting stuff about the castmates on there that like is or isn't true, and it's so salacious. It heightens the entire conversation. I don't know.
Yeah,
like
so
rumors.
she'll get like write-ins from like anonymous random people. And there have now been 2 storylines where she's like, "Oh, I got this write-in from someone who says like she's like slept with like one of the girls in the group's husband," and like then it becomes a whole thing because like that person was like probably just lying.
Right. They're stirring up so much trouble. So that's, I don't know. And she's just like begging for more attention when she's doing that. I'm like, why are you creating so many problems for people?
She's got to keep her spot for season 3.
That's true. They're cutthroat in that way. They're like, can I come back into the group? And they're like, yeah, let's vote in front of you right now. No one votes for like that to happen. It's
the ketamine.
okay. Yep. I'm glad you brought it up. So these people on this show can't like drink coffee. They can't drink alcohol.
So
it's against their religion.
Mormon and like very religious in that way where they like don't do drugs. They don't drink alcohol. They don't drink coffee, but they like drink a lot of soda, which is like also a lot of caffeine, but whatever. But then, so they'll be like, no, we're like, straight edge, like soda's our vice. We don't do anything.
Exactly.
But then they like go to these, I don't even know what you would call it, infusion clinic things and have these like ketamine sessions.
Yep. Just like here I go.
Really hanging a left there.
I don't see how the two align. The other thing is when they go get their like esthetician treatment and they're getting their Botox.
Oh yeah, when they get Botox.
And they all get like they all huff the nitrous.
Yeah.
And they're like showing the sun. They're like, oh yeah, we once again we don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, but we can't drink coffee.
Can't drink coffee. But here's the laughing gas.
Hit me with the laughing gas though. Just to take the edge off.
Yeah, it's seems very interesting to me. I'm not exactly sure how it works.
I love it.
But it's fun. It's good to see on TV. And they well, I don't know if it's good to see on TV. It's entertaining for us if you stumble upon it. But they create so much conflict within themselves and they're all sober. Like no alcohol whatsoever.
Yeah, like usually when
them.
you're watching a reality show and there's some sort of like confrontation or whatever, people have been like drinking or, it's at a party or whatever. But these girls are stone cold sober.
Yep.
Doing all these crazy things, getting into all these crazy fights. And then like the guys were fighting.
But then like you can actually follow their train of thought because there's logic and reason behind their fighting, which is also...
Yeah, that's true. Like they'll be getting like all like heightened and mad and then they'll be like, yes, I understand where you're coming from. But this is what I'm trying to say.
But this counterpoint to your counterpoint in the subplot of this conversation. And I'm like, wow, this is different than what we've often been consuming. So that was that.
That's that.
Golfing was fun.
Yeah.
It was rusty on the first hole.
Yeah, rusty on like the first 3 holes, I would say.
Yeah.
But then a couple times, like, I feel like when I make contact with the golf ball, it goes straight.
Yeah.
And relatively far for someone who doesn't regularly golf.
I mean, listen, when was the last time you golfed?
2 summers ago.
Exactly. So if we did this a little bit more, found ourselves a driving range that wasn't being deconstructed, get out there, do it a little bit more, I think we'd be pretty good.
Also, maybe if I wasn't using a golf club that was meant for someone who's a foot taller than me.
Which is fun because like I'm using a golf club that's meant for someone who's like 8 inches shorter than me.
Yeah. Why do we do that?
Well, because we haven't, it's
Maybe
not a
we should
consistent enough
switch.
hobby that we
Yeah.
haven't purchased our own golf clubs. We're still using the ones that my dad had.
Yeah.
So that's why. Because we only go once every 2 years at this point. So I don't think it quite, como se dice.
Maybe when we move back to the suburbs.
Yeah, because I mean, that's an activity that you're going to do all the time in the suburbs.
Yeah.
These runs that we've been going on. We've been running a lot more recently together, some nice Peloton runs. A little quirk on the app. Never mind. But these Peloton runs have been so great. And once again, we just love the app, love the program. We love doing it together. And that was really fun. You get to do it on the beach too. Low tide. Can't do that at high tide. Slippery sand.
Oh, yeah.
I know. We were walking out there and I was like, oh, wow, it would be impossible to run in these conditions. But like in the morning.
In these conditions.
Look at this like sloping, slanted sand. Did you like that alliteration?
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you. I'm a poet.
Oh, my God.
Well, it's been about 11 minutes, and I think our audience is eager to learn
11 minutes.
what we are going to talk about today. So what are we going to talk about today, Nick?
Today we're talking about skin cancer and sun protection.
Awesome.
Which will be a timely episode since we're at Memorial Day in the beginning of summer.
Excellent. That sounds great. All right. So sun protection is important. This week we're spending some time down at the beach, and it made us think to do this episode. So when you think of sun protection, what do you think that is the main thing you're trying to prevent?
Skin cancer.
Yeah, skin cancer. And for our vain people out there, aging as well.
Can't have aging. And all of this kind of seems like, okay, like none of what we're about to say is a hot take, and stay out of the sun. If you're in the sun, wear sunscreen, which we'll talk more about.
Right.
But 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer at some point in their life. So it sounds like the people need a reminder.
Yeah, it's the most common type of cancer. And so it definitely deserves a lot of time and attention, which we're going to give it today. Awesome. So there are a couple essential protective measures that you can take. One of them being seeking shade when we're trying to reduce our chances of sun exposure and skin cancer. So between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., the sun's rays are the strongest. And so
Best time to tan.
it's the best time to tan and the worst time to get skin cancer. And so avoiding the sun during those times is probably the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. So what if you're not avoiding the sun, or you're like us and we're on the beach between those times?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I know like we got to walk the walk here, I guess. Realistically, you should be wearing sun protective clothing. And I remember getting lots of lectures in med school about this, that like you'll see dermatologists out there, they are wearing lightweight clothing, long sleeve shirts, pants, wide brim hats, and sunglasses, all to offer them extra protection from the sun. But there's one big one that, is not clothing at all. That is a big conversation. What are we thinking about here?
Sounds like we're talking about sunscreen.
We are. And so can you tell us a little bit about, so who needs sunscreen?
Everybody needs sunscreen, regardless of your skin tone, age, gender, whether you think you don't need sunscreen because you really don't burn, like I thought for my entire adolescent and most of my adult life thus far. Except in the recent years, I've been really good about wearing sunscreen all the time. But, that took me a solid 30 years to get to that point. So,
right. And, like you mentioned earlier, 1 in 5 Americans develop skin cancer in their lifetime, which is really disturbing. But not only does not using sunscreen lead to that outcome, but using sunscreen also helps premature skin aging, which has been in the zeitgeist.
And, any of the girlies who want to shoot up their face, freeze your muscles under there, to prevent wrinkles, that's all good and fine. But you can't do that and then not wear sunscreen because you can't fix it from the inside and then have bad skin on the outside. Botox can fix your skin. So,
yeah. So when you're thinking about choosing the right sunscreen, what sorts of recommendations, and all of this conversation has been brought to you by the American Academy of Dermatology. They have a website. This is their frequently asked questions portion of their website that we're actually just diving into for our episode here. So when we talk about what type of sunscreen, what characteristics it should have, what things do we think about?
So the three main things that you want to look for when you are looking for a sunscreen, first is broad spectrum protection. Everyone talks about the UV rays, but they're UVA and UVB. The kind of adage is that UVA is for aging and then B is for burning. And then one that's SPF 30 or higher, which really on the scale of SPFs, like 30 is not really that high.
No.
It's pretty minimal. You'll still get a tan. That's what we use. And then also looking for one that's water resistance for obvious reasons. If you're out at the pool, the lake, the beach, whatever, you're in the water, and then obviously sweating.
Absolutely. And when we talk about actually using that sunscreen, it's important that you use sunscreen every day on exposed skin, regardless of the weather conditions, because even in cloudy weather, 80% of the harmful UV rays can penetrate and get to you. One thing that was really interesting reading this article is that most adults need about an ounce of sunscreen to cover their body in all of the sun exposed areas. And that is about the amount of a shot glass, which if you really just take the bottle, turn over and you're squeezing it into a shot glass, feels like a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It feels like how my dad applies sunscreen. The man paints his body.
Well, good for him. But don't forget that you have to apply it to the tops of your feet, your neck, ears, and the top of your head for the friends who are not having as much hair on the top of their head recently. Skin cancer also can form on the lips. And so people often will find themselves using a lip balm or a lipstick containing sunscreen with an SPF of 30 or higher. And one key thing when it comes to sunscreen is reapplying. And they offer some good guidance on how often to reapply.
Yeah, the recommendation is every 2 hours. Seems reasonable. I mean, I feel like when we're on the beach and stuff, it seems always like you put your sunscreen on when you get to the beach or the pool or wherever, when really the recommendation is to do it about 15 minutes before you're outside.
Right.
And then it seems like it's being reapplied. Like if you're like, oh, my shoulders feel red or my shoulders are hurting, but you're already burning when
It's
you're.
already happening.
So if you just do it every 2 hours, you can prevent that.
Absolutely. And if you're doing activities like swimming or you're running around and you're sweating a lot, you also should probably reapply after that too, like any topical medication. And so that's something that probably is underdone.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, 1 in 5.
We're guilty of that. We'll be better tomorrow at the beach.
We certainly are. Tomorrow will be better. And so like we were talking about understanding these UV rays again, UVA rays are for aging. They prematurely age skin and they can cause wrinkles and age spots, whereas UVB often leads to the burning type of rays, which are higher risk for skin cancer, which is something we're always thinking about. We were talking about sunscreen a lot, and it does come in all different shapes and sizes. It seems like there are lotions, creams, gels, sticks, sprays, lip balms. I think it's all personal preference, and that's what the American Academy of Dermatology was saying too. As long as it gets on your body, the best type of sunscreen is the sunscreen that you actually use. What about this interesting tidbit here about the effectiveness of SPF and how much of the UV rays it actually blocks?
Yeah, so kind of going back to what I was saying about the 3 things to look for in your SPF and the minimum SPF being 30. That's because with an SPF of 30, that's blocking 97% of the UVB rays, which are those burning rays.
Yeah. Which is crazy because higher SPF numbers actually don't block sunscreen 100%. I mean, if you're already blocking 97% of the UVB rays, there's only 3% to go. And so using the same amount of SPF doesn't actually accomplish that goal. But what using a higher SPF does do is it gets you more protection with less volume, because we all, I think, tend to underutilize the amount of sunscreen that we should use. But using a higher SPF, 40, 50, 60 higher, you can use less to be able to get the point across to your body.
And no sunscreen protects 100% from even SPF 100.
Yeah, doesn't do it.
Doesn't mean that it's blocking the sun 100%.
Absolutely. So what about thinking about sun protection in babies and toddlers? Tell me, what's the word on sun protection 6 months and under in a baby?
So the general kind of recommendation for the little guys is just to avoid completely keeping them in the shade, getting your little baby a cute little sun hat and sunglasses that they'll take off in 3 seconds, but they're still super cute and you can try.
And then after that, once you get infants are older than 6 months, using a particular sunscreen that's for children is the best option. And so, and in terms of infants, there are special types of sunscreens, those that contain zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, which may be less irritating for sensitive skin.
Yeah, the zinc is like the SPF I use on my face every day has zinc in it.
Oh, okay.
Which I like specifically because I like have eczema and I'll get it like around my eyes and it doesn't bother that. So
does other sunscreen bother it around your eyes though?
It does.
Oh.
I know. I'm a delicate little petunia.
That's getting clipped. And, you know, it sounds like when you're using all this sunscreen, you're going to be going through it quite a bit. And so there's going to be more sunscreen in the house and you'll have to buy more. But the good news is that sunscreen usually retains its original strength for about 3 years. Or you should just look at the expiration date to make sure that you're not applying something on your skin that has been expired for 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, once the sunscreen gets, because I feel like we've all had a bottle or a couple of like old sunscreen laying around in like your beach bag from 10 summers ago. And it kind of gets that like yellow, gross, like consistency and color.
Yeah.
No good anymore.
Not good anymore.
Okay, so Ed.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird to call you that.
You can call me Eddie.
Eddie.
Yeah.
Okay, so Eddie, tell us, what if one would be concerned about their vitamin D? And we know that we get a lot of vitamin D from the sun, but we're protecting ourselves from the sun.
Right.
What's the recommendation for that?
So if you're
Or how do
asking
we navigate that?
Yeah, if you ask a dermatologist, they'll continue to say avoid the sun. And there are a lot of people in our society who are vitamin D deficient. And so there are recommendations from the AAD to get it in your diet and other forms rather than solely relying on getting it from the sun. Using this much sun protection can actually impact how much vitamin D you have. So it's something to think about. And we're talking about the normal, average, healthy adult. There are certain circumstances and chronic conditions where vitamin D is very important. And obviously, for all of this, you should consult your own doctor. Now, in terms of what happens when this fails, because no one's perfect, and at the end of the day, many people get sunburn. And this happens to me at the beginning of every season. And because my skin is very fair, I'm not Italian like some people in the room. And so the idea is immediately you should get out of the sun and get inside. But you've helped me in several other ways. Like you've given me aloe. We've kept my skin moist.
We now have aloe in our house because of him.
Yeah. And drinking a lot of extra water. And it's very soothing. And as for someone who's had a lot of skin peeling and from sunburn, yeah, that bad. The word from the American Academy of Dermatology is to avoid popping the blisters because they can lead to infection, which isn't great. So you also should probably prevent that skin that was burned from getting burned again. And so staying out of the sun after you get burned is important as well. And I think that's the word on sunscreen for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sunburn and protection. So SPF 30 is the way to go, or up.
And maybe after everyone listens to our podcast, next time all of these statistics come out, it'll be less than 1 in 5% of
Maybe
Americans.
1 in 6. Maybe 1 in 6. That'd be great. So thank you for coming back to another week of Your Checkup. Today, hopefully you were able to learn something for yourself, a loved one, or
a neighbor.
Please check us out on our Instagram. Check out our website to find all of our old episodes or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can sign up for our email list. It's available in the description wherever you listen to podcasts. And my one call to action for you all this week is really share this with anyone who spends any amount of time in the sun. So basically, I'm just asking you to share this episode with a friend or a neighbor as we continue to try to get the message out for the work that we're doing here. Thank you for coming back. And most importantly, stay healthy, my friends. Until next time, I'm Ed Dulesky.
I'm Nicola Rufo.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
This information may provide a brief overview of diagnosis, treatment, and medications. It's not exhaustive and is a tool to help you understand potential options about your health. It doesn't cover all details about conditions, treatments, or medications for a specific person. This is not medical advice or an attempt to substitute medical advice. You should contact a healthcare provider for personalized guidance based on your unique circumstances. We explicitly disclaim any liability relating to the information given or its use. This content doesn't endorse any treatments or medications for a specific patient. Always talk to your healthcare provider for a complete information tailored to you. In short, I'm not your doctor.
I am not your nurse.
And make sure you go get your own checkup with your own personal doctor.